every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Friday, October 17th, 2025. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Heather Parton, columnist at Salon.com. You may know her as Digby. Publisher of the Uber blog Hullabaloo at digbysblog.com. Also on the program today, Matthew Film Guy, filmmaker, film guy. Also on the program today, the head of the U.S. Military Southern Command steps down in the wake of the multiple killing of Caribbean boaters and revelations of a CIA coup planning in Venezuela. Also on the program today, day 17 of the shutdown. Democrats stay united as Republicans begin to fear a health insurance tsunami. John Bolton surrenders to authorities as Trump again gets one of his bête noirs charged. Trump to hold a Putin meeting in Budapest as Zelensky seeks more weapons. Hackers dox hundreds of DHS, ICE, FBI, and DOJ officials looking for their supposed Mexican cartel reward. Mamdani tops New York City mayoral debate as Curtis Sliwa undresses Andrew Cuomo. NoKings.org.
That's not a good image, Sam.
NoKings.org protests around the country on tomorrow as Republicans fear they'll be filled with millions and millions of Hamas. New report, ICE has detained or arrested more than 170 U.S. citizens, including 20 children, 2 of whom have cancer. Republican congressman says he was deliberately fooled into hanging a swastika-laden U.S. flag picture in his office. More investigation to follow.
Another trickster.
Another one who's just a kid, all right? Another one.
A youthful Republican congressman. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is
Casual Friday.
Casual Friday. Thanks so much for joining us at the end of the week. Obviously, a lot of stuff to get through. I would say that every day, because it's true.
It's true.
We're getting a lot of Curtis Sliwa comments. He was fun in that debate.
He is so representative of a New York Republican that you can't even hate on it. He's such a long shot that he's not open to corruptibility, really, or actually within any of the Republican apparatus. So he can just act like, I don't know, every guy from Staten Island, and that's his whole energy.
I think he's also really just interested in beating Cuomo. I think that's what he really wants to do.
Everybody hates Cuomo, and that was obvious last night. As Zoran continues to be very smart and basically didn't even go after Sliwa, which he shouldn't. And it caused this, towards the end, basically, this team-up thing between the two of them, which was glorious to watch.
It was also interesting, too. I mean, we'll play some clips later in the fun half, but Sliwa in the middle really, I think, changed the dynamic. between, you can really get the sense that Cuomo was planning one of those things where he walks over to Mamdani or something like
He
that.
blocks his shot.
Yeah, looks like a tough guy, but he really looked weak. And we'll get to it, but he made some comments like it's not getting enough attention where he said that Zoran was not an observant Muslim or like wasn't the right kind of Muslim. Can people who are like, it's really just Zionists. Can Zionists stop telling Jews and Muslims what kind of Jew and Muslim they are? Like, leave it alone. You're not something you need to be concerned about.
Well, if I remember correctly, though, isn't Cuomo a Muslim and a Jew
I forgot.
and a
Black.
Catholic and a black and a woman and
gay.
a gay? I seem to remember that, but
He's all things. He's God.
he's all things to everybody. In the meantime, let's look back. This happened 2 nights ago. There was a CNN town hall with Bernie Sanders and AOC hosted by Caitlin Collins. You got to wonder, the Democratic establishment seems so angry with the idea of progressives in their ranks. They are fielding a 78-year-old candidate who will be 79 years old on the day that she is sworn in Maine, despite the fact that Graham Plattner has, as she enters the race, is still outpolling her directly and in terms of Collins. You got to wonder why there's no sort of like Democratic establishment figures who are out there making this case about the government shutdown. We are on day 17. And here is Bernie Sanders and AOC. This is, let's start with the first one. The idea of Russ Vought, who, if you listen to this program for any amount in the run-up, particularly to the inauguration, you heard a lot about Russ Vought and Project 2025's plans. Listen to this clip.
Crisis that they've created.
Okay, so you think Republicans will come to the table sooner rather than later. The White House has not indicated as much, and today the budget director, Russ Vought, said that north of 10,000 federal workers could be laid off during this government shutdown. Does that make Democrats rethink their strategy at all?
I don't think so. I think that what Russ Vought just announced today in the laying off of federal workers, we learned today a judge has put a temporary restraining order because it is likely illegal what he and the Trump administration is doing. The problem is that this administration, the Trump administration, folks like Russ Vought, they think that destroying our health care, making sure that housing is too expensive to live in, that jacking up the costs of our groceries, they think all of this is about hurting Democrats. What they are doing is hurting Americans, and they are hurting this country. And if Mike Johnson wants to say that this shutdown is going to last a long time, it is because he is choosing to punish the American people, and we cannot stand for it, and we cannot allow it. And we also cannot enable it by acquiescing and enabling the behavior of bullies. So it ends today.
So
If I could just add to something Alexandria said.
Go ahead, Senator.
This is the cynicism of the Speaker of the House.
Mm-hmm.
Where are your Republican colleagues tonight? They're back here in Washington negotiating?
That's an excellent question, Bernie. Right now, House Democrats are in Washington, D.C. Senate Democrats are in Washington, D.C. Even Senate Republicans, I believe, are still in Washington, D.C. The only people who are not in Washington, D.C. are the over 200 elected Republicans in the House of Representatives, because Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, refuses to call the House in session. He refuses.
Yeah, that's a great point,
Yep.
bringing that up. All Democrats should be screaming about that.
And also anybody who's interested in the idea of getting these Epstein files released. I mean, the This is a twofer for Mike Johnson, and he is terrified. And we'll talk more about this with Digby. She's written a piece on this. But he's terrified, I think, of the government shutdown ending, because then he loses his excuse for having dismissed all of Congress so that he can pretend like he can't swear in Gravalha, the elected congressperson from New Mexico, Arizona. Sorry.
But she also, with the attorney general in Arizona, is threatening to sue the government because on the basis of fair representation. Because right now, her constituents have no representation, and that is unconstitutional. And by the way, they'll use this example of Nancy Pelosi not seating somebody during the COVID era. These were COVID era restrictions that caused that delay. It's not what they're actively doing here, which is to keep the Epstein cover-up going.
And just a reminder, the reason why this protects the Epstein files is that a couple of Republicans and all the Democrats are willing to sign what is known as a discharge petition, which can force a bill to the floor without the approval of the Speaker of the House. So that's what's going on there. Here is a second clip from that AOC Bernie Sanders town hall talking about what's going to happen with the ACA in just a really matter of weeks at this point, in terms of like massive increases in health insurance that's going to bleed through the entire system. I mean, everybody's going to see we're used to health insurance rising in cost each year, but the rate in which it rises is going to go back up. Here is part two.
Hi. On the issue of healthcare, a lot of the clinics and hospitals that are negatively affected the most under the One Big Beautiful Bill are located in rural, mostly Republican areas. A lot of the increases in Affordable Care Act premiums that Democrats are fighting to prevent are concentrated in more rural Republican areas. If the Republicans are so insistent on sticking it to their own voters on this issue, why don't the Democrats just let them?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Alexandria touched on this before, and that is, we are, one of the things, and this really annoys me about Trump, he's dividing this country. Why would I not? When we hit the road, we were in Idaho, right? Mm-hmm. It's the most conservative state in America, I think. We had many thousands of people coming out. We are Americans. Mm-hmm. What, you think I would feel okay if somebody in a Republican state died because they couldn't get health care? I would hope not. I would hope nobody feels that way.
And I think it also speaks to a big difference between someone like Trump and someone like me or someone like Bernie, which is that Trump believes that if you don't vote for him, he doesn't have to be your leader. That if you didn't vote for him, that you don't deserve good things to happen to you. I don't care if someone voted for me or not. I don't care if someone is a Republican or an independent or a Democrat. I don't care if someone likes me or not. That will never change the fact that I'm going to fight for them to have health care. I want MAGA to have health care.
This is just such an improvement on messaging in the past. And frankly, a lot of liberals after Trump got elected said things like, well, maybe they just have to feel the pain. And this is a big problem with the constituency that the party has developed really since 2016. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Chuck Schumer saying that for every suburban Republican we pick up or rural voter we lose, we'll pick up a suburban Republican. They have tried to cultivate a base of professional class, upper middle class, upper class liberals that are largely insulated from the effects of these kinds of things. And it's created this disconnect where there are regular folks who feel like the Democrats aren't fighting for them. And they've also sidelined voices like Bernie Sanders and AOC. And you hear Graham Plattner embracing this as well, where this is what can transcend the darkness of fascism, which is the principle of neighborliness and of standing up for your fellow American. And that was amazing.
Yeah, it's well said. I'd be curious. I mean, I wish there was a way to sort of get like a focus group and get a sense of how people are reacting to this. But this is what the progressive wing of the party has to do. It has to both assume a leadership role in the context of the party and also simultaneously expand the base of the party and show an opening. And in many respects, that's what a Mamdani win will do, just purely on a narrative basis. That's what a Plattner win in Maine will do. It will create space and oxygen essentially for both for progressives and for sort of like, moderates and even conservatives will have to tact left in some way because they will see that's where the energy in the party is.
And the fight is, and the winning is, right? Like we've talked about this too. The winning is as important as anything because the myth that like the moderate centrist is going to be the defeating the Republican, that had been internalized by the Democratic base for 30, 40 years, and unwinding that is a longer process than it should have been. But I feel like we're finally here now. And that's why Zoran's victory is more than just New York City, commie blue area, whatever. It was the first moment where you see that this politics actually expands the base. It's a winning message, and it's something that creates a snowball effect where people want to be on the winning team. There is like the Democratic propaganda about Bernie made it so like people were like, oh, I don't want to get my hopes up because he could never win. Well, now maybe these people can win, and that gets people energized.
And to your
you
point,
have the record of losing from the folks who have been in charge.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's that. Yeah. I mean, to that specifically in Maine, I think it's been 4 candidates in a row, 5.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that have been sort of handpicked by the Democratic Senate campaign committee, and they all have lost, despite like having a tremendous amount of resources. And so that's what makes that Maine race so important as well. But we'll see. We should really try and have Plattner on again. In a minute, we're going to be taking a break and talking to Heather Digby Parton about the news of the week. First, a word from one of my favorite sponsors. That is, of course, sunsetlakesabadee.com. Use the code left is best. You'll get 20% off. 20% off what, you say, Sam? Well, you'll get 20% off of tinctures that help you sleep, tinctures that help you relax, tinctures that help your pet relax, gummies that will help you sleep, the gummies that some with a little bit of THC and maybe even some Delta gummies with CBD, ones that help you sleep, some with melatonin, some without. Also smokables. They got flour, they got pre-rolls, they got keef, they've got CBD infused coffee and CBD infused fudge. There's all of their CBD is third-party tested. When you buy it, you get like a sheet of what it's broken of all of its components. They don't use any pesticides. They use integrated pest management, and they have great business practices. $20 minimum wage, mostly employee owned. Great farming practices with regenerative farming that they've worked with the University of Vermont up there near Burlington on growing. And they also are movement partners. They have donated tens of thousands of dollars to like things like strike relief funds and Planned Parenthood and refugee resettlement and carceral reform. They've engaged in mutual aid, just an all-around great company and an all-around great product. sunsetlakesabadee.com. Use the code left is best. You will get 20% off. All right, quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Heather Digby Parton. Just a reminder, the AM Quickie, amquickie.com. You get 3 days of emails in your inbox at 9 a.m. with the biggest stories of the day from a decidedly lefty-ish of center perspective. It's sort of a corrective for those other news emails that you might get. And for a couple of bucks, you can also get it 5 days a week. amquickie.com. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. Very quick 5-minute read, but all the information you need for the day. And why not join our Discord at majoritydiscord.com. We got well over 15,000 now, I think, in that Discord. It's massive. And a great place to get resources as this No Kings is happening. Great place to find people who might be going to one in your neighborhood. But we'll talk more about No Kings with Digby. Quick break. We'll be right back with Heather Parton. I like it. Yeah, I've always remembered this in the past couple of
Takes me back.
Yes, to a more a much more innocent time. Heather Parton, Digby, always a pleasure. We're back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigland, and back with us, Heather Parton, the proprietor of Hullabaloo and, of course, the columnist at salon.com. Heather, there's probably 12 things that we could talk about on any given Friday over the course of the past, I don't know, certainly 15 years on this show and the 20 years we've been talking about. Any one of these would have been a full discussion, but that's the nature of the of Trump administration 2.0. The assaults on our government, our laws. Like, I'm just thinking, like, as we went over stuff at the break, we didn't even mention, like, oh, we're probably planning an invasion of Venezuela. And we're just unilaterally blowing up boats in the Caribbean of what appears to be, at least by reports from Venezuela and other places, just, for the most part, fishermen. We really don't know. But let's start with the government shutdown. Okay. This is I have to say that in terms of like the messaging and in terms of Democrats maintaining some cohesion and unity and also getting out the message, we just played a clip of AOC and Bernie from their town hall Wednesday night. And there was an opportunity to talk about how Russ Vought is illegally firing all of, the 10,000, the latest tranche of employees, which of course has been going on for 8 months, but hasn't gotten the sort of like the urgent coverage that it deserves. And now we're seeing that. What's your sense of how this is going?
Well, I just wrote a piece about this. I think so far the polls have been showing that people are blaming the Republicans at least slightly more than the Democrats. And that's logical. They're in charge of everything. The Democrats are ciphers, up until now. So you can understand why people, even Republicans, would say that. So I think that it's amazing but wonderful that the Democrats have decided that they needed to actually take a stand on something, and that they are pulling together, and that they're doing that, and that they're messaging pretty effectively. I think, when we heard that they had chosen this healthcare, framework for their, the ACA subsidies and the Medicaid, for their reasoning, for their rationale for for refusing to vote for the continuing resolution. I was a little skeptical because I thought, it just doesn't seem big enough. It seems too ordinary. It seems like something that happened, this could have been 10 years ago talking. And it was in 2013.
Yep.
We had a shutdown over the Affordable Care Act, and it lasted 17 days. I mean, this, it seemed like, a little Groundhog Day to me. But I'm realizing as I'm watching this go on that it's actually there's a different resonance now. And it has to do with what you said, Sam, about the fact that these layoffs, which we've never seen anything like this before in a shutdown, the idea of we're just going to, fire everybody. We're not going, and Trump even out there saying it's going to be all Republican programs. We're going to get rid of them permanently and stuff like that. No one ever said that before. But it's more than that. I think one of the reasons why the healthcare thing, aside from the grim reality of these subsidies going up and people starting to get notices that are going to say, these gargantuan price hikes that they're going to get on the ACA subsidies, and the notion that there's been more press, I think, than we realize on the local level about the effect of the Medicaid cuts on rural hospitals and things like that. That word has been kind of seeping out ever since the big bill was passed. So I think that that's all to the good. But I think there's something bigger than that. I think a lot of this is just the dysfunction. Shouldn't even call it dysfunction, because it's really not, the chaos of the Trump administration so far is starting to make its way into the public consciousness. Mm-hmm. People who aren't paying a lot of attention, people who are just there going, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? And I think that some of that, when in terms of healthcare, has to do with what I'm calling the RFK effect. What he's doing, I mean, this is no longer just about health insurance. It's no longer about your bills. It's you like your kitchen table issues. There's a kitchen table issue out there, called cancer research, pediatric, cancer research. Things like Donald Trump going out in front of standing behind the podium and screaming, "Don't take Tylenol." Like, what the hell is he talking about? This weird stuff like what they did yesterday with Dr. Oz and Trump out there saying, "Have more babies." And I think this stuff is starting to sort of look like it's not just about health insurance, it's about the whole healthcare system. And that makes people very, very nervous, because as much as people hated the American healthcare system in terms of lack of access, they're really going to hate it when they find out that it's really a terrible, terrible system, because we no longer have the best and the brightest doing research. The universities, research centers are being shut down. So I think it's a subtext, this chaos, the fact that they're tearing down the whole healthcare system, the fact that you have this Russ vote thing. I know that everybody's, the press is being terrible about explaining the Russ vote gambit, I think. Because we talked about it, all of us talked about it before the election, that Project 2025, what it was. And this was the main thrust of it, was what Steve Bannon used to call the dismantling of the administrative state, right? Yep. This was what he said, and this is going back to 2016. And Russ Vogt wrote it all out on paper. We all read it. And it was in, very accessible English. And any reporter could have read it too, which said that they were going to do exactly what they're doing. And they started off with Doge. Russ Votes carried it on. All of this idea that somehow this has something to do with the shutdown is nonsense. Russ Votes been doing it. He's going to continue doing it. And right now they just think they're being cute, and they're blaming the Democrats for the shutdown, and it's their fault that people are being fired. But I don't think people are buying it. I wrote a thing, it hasn't published yet, for Salon, where in the AP NORC poll, the AP story about their poll. They quoted a woman, Trump voter, big Trump supporter, said, well, they're all to blame and blah, blah, blah. She says, but, I expect the Republicans to do this. I mean, Donald Trump, he's the strong leader, and we depend on him to go down there to the Congress and tell them exactly what he wants and make them do it.
Well, that's interesting to me, though, Heather, because I'm trying to pull it up, but it's from a few weeks ago. Here it is, actually. There was a poll from YouGov that showed that only 22% of Republicans are buying the party's argument on why they're shutting down the government. And the prompt was to expand Medicaid benefits to immigrants who are, why the Democrats are. To expand Medicaid benefits to immigrants who are in the U.S. illegally. And only 22% of Republicans agreed that was their goal. Like in the voting
Didn't work,
base.
did it?
Right.
And they've stopped using that. I mean,
Yes,
I don't see it as much. And partly, I would imagine, is also because of the sort of flood of images of ICE going after, report out today, 170 U.S. citizens have been arrested by ICE.
That's just what they could find, because nobody's keeping data on this. Because that was just what ProPublica found in public, publications and what have you.
But that just means, right? Like the voter that you're talking about sees Trump as the fixer of even the own Republican Party. This is the thing we've been saying for years on this show, and Sam's really been on this about the separating of Trump from the Republican brand.
Yes.
The Trump voter thinks like he's going to get Republicans in line from cutting your health care. That's insane. And so but the ACA thing is fascinating because like I wish they were pushing for more, but why I think it's creating the tension you're describing is because House Republicans are panicked. Panicked. They're all up in 2026, and if at the start of the year these ACA tax credits expire, that's 4 to 5 million people who could lose coverage, let alone when we're looking at the increase in premiums that would go like crazy. So they time those Medicaid cuts after the midterms. This is the pressure point, and it seems like at the very least Schumer and Jeffries understand that.
They do seem to understand it, which, is surprising. I mean, look, what happened last spring, and we were all, our hair was on fire over what they did by, not doing this the first time they had the chance. The logic was, and I think it has worked out, although I doubt that it was planned this way. What happened in the interim, of course, was, all the Doge stuff, really people understood the Elon Musk weirdness that happened in the first months, but it was also the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And I think that really kind of focused the Democrats. But the big thing that focused the Democrats was Russ Vought doing the pocket rescission and just saying, I don't care what you guys appropriate. You go ahead, you do you. But I'm going to do me. And what I'm going to do is rescind whatever I feel like. I'm going to reappropriate money in any way I want. And when he did that, he showed the Democrats. And this argument, I'm seeing it in the media, and I think it may be starting to, maybe, I don't know, I have no proof of this, but it may be starting to penetrate what this really means. We can't make a deal with these people because they don't honor agreements.
Right.
They don't even honor laws that we pass and that Donald Trump signs. They won't even. So how do we make a deal here? What's the point of any of this if they won't do it? So they're standing there going, no. Russ Vought is out there saying, I'm going to cut whatever I want. What are you going to do about it? And they're kind of going, well, then we're stuck, because unless you rein this guy in, we're going to have a problem.
They have not been able to square this circle, it seems to me, fully. I mean, I think we're headed in that direction you're talking about, but there seems to me to be such an opportunity to say, Russ Vought says he wants to traumatize federal workers, and when he traumatizes federal workers, he's traumatizing the people they serve, and that is the American public. That to me seems like a very easy connection to make. And then what you're also doing in that is you're able to tie it into, never mind the cuts they want to do on the ACA. There aren't going to be people to work on healthcare. They're traumatizing Medicare officials. They're traumatizing Social Security officials. Like, you can go forward with this, and particularly at a time where they're putting AI versions of Chuck Schumer saying stuff that he had not said. Maybe it was written in an article, but
I don't think so. I think they made that up.
Well, either way, it doesn't matter. Like, they don't seem to understand that the rules are off there, and it is not a big leap to say that Russ Vought wants to traumatize everybody working in the federal government. I mean, he's literally said that.
It's on film. They've got footage of him saying, and we want to traumatize
there's
people.
such an opportunity to roll this into any pain that people are feeling from the government shutdown, and roll it into a situation, because look, in the event that we have elections in 2026 and that they're representative of how people vote, and by that I mean, redistricting, et cetera, and in the event that we have a 2028 election, and in the event that Democrats take some power over some part of government, they're going to have to, the work done here, this is not, Biden coming in during COVID and passing one bill. The amount of work that's going to need to be done, our government is in rubbles and in tatters. Yeah. And you need to now start to build a narrative that government is important in people's lives. And you have a perfect example right now of a Republican Party that wants to assault government and thereby assault the American public. They're doing it. They're like we just had the Fed chair, 2 days ago, on top of the Fed chair was out there saying that the immigration policies are hurting the economy. Goldman Sachs is saying, that the immigration policies are taxing Americans an extra 88%. And incidentally, that tax money is being sent. $40 billion is essentially being sent to Argentina. I mean, there just seems to be a lot of material to work with. And I look at it just like, why is AOC and Bernie Sanders the only people who seem to be able to seeking a national platform to make this argument? I mean, I guess Hakeem Jeffries has said that he would debate Mike Johnson, but frankly, despite the fact that Hakeem Jeffries has all the facts, I'd be a little bit nervous about that.
Yeah.
Although I give Jeffries credit. This morning he came out against, talking about Carolyn Levitt's crazy commentary yesterday, and he said she's out of her mind. There's something wrong with her. I mean, he really used some very direct language to describe her, and I thought,
but
okay,
isn't
there's
it
a start?
Yeah, but isn't it
let's play this.
4 months too late? I mean, it just feels like he's reacting to the pressure that. Yeah, and they leaked, and just to put that Chiose, who is like a New York, I forget, is he in this city assemblyman or not an assemblyman? He works in the city councilman. Either way, he's floating a primary challenge against Jeffries, and they put out a poll about how he's 50 points behind already. But the point is why are they already polling internally for Hakeem Jeffries?
That's a good question.
Against a council member.
Against a council member, yeah. So sorry, Heather.
Good. That's a good question. I hadn't heard that, but yeah, it shows that there's something going on.
Well, let's play this clip of Caroline Levitt, because I'm curious as to what your feelings are as to why they are so what is it? What's their angle on the No Kings thing? George Bush famously, when we had millions of people in the street in the run up to the Iraq War, he said, I'm not going to decide on some type of, what did he call it? Focus group testing on whether I should go to war or not. I mean, of course, the other way to say that is we live in a democratic country, and, if the people aren't interested in, you avenging your father's honor, maybe we shouldn't do this. But they seem to be very, very worried about this No Kings rally, or they think they can make something of it. Here's Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, yesterday on Fox News.
Proved that the Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world. And that proved that the Democrat...
Okay, first off, they're standing up for Americans all around the world. The expat constituency, or is she just like, she's just like in overdrive?
Maybe she wants to open borders.
They have been spending they have been spending a lot of time saying that it's all going to be Hamas people showing up at the No Kings.
Antifa, Hamas, and terrorists.
What is your sense of their angle with this?
Well, it's clearly a talking point. We know that much because every single
one of them
has come out and used this kind of incendiary language. So, I mean, it's first of all, let me just, the rank hypocrisy, and I know that hypocrisy no longer applies, shamelessness is their superpower, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the idea that after what they did after the Charlie Kirk murder, going out and, ordering their, foot soldiers to dox and track down and inform on anybody who said something sideways about Charlie Kirk and get them fired and do all that and then with their big sanctimonious, paeans to civility and how we have to stop the terrible language. The fact that the whole leadership of the Republican Party is out there calling Democrats not the politicians, the actual people, the protesters, the voters, people like us, we're all Hamas now. We're all terrorists. We're all Antifa. That's basically what they're saying. It's, the overwhelming, hypocrisy of that is beyond, especially after the, just don't call them deplorables. That's the only the word you can't use. But in any case, why are they doing it? I think there's possibly two reasons. The first is I think that they may be trying to intimidate people into not coming out by saying, making it into this big thing. The second is, I don't know what there might be some plans. I mean, I know that Greg Abbott said today that he's sending in the National Guard to Austin for the No Kings protest.
I gotta say,
am I being paranoid?
No, I gotta say, and we were talking about this before the show. The likelihood, look, we know we have seen in the past. We saw this even during BLM. You will get agitators, instigators who will be in these crowds at times. I've seen images of like conservative influencers, all dressed in black. Like they're going to do, like cat burglars going out there to represent Antifa, soldiers or something. The idea that there would either be a concerted effort to infiltrate these protests and create and make them violent, or the idea that there are conservative sort of self-appointed warriors who would go in there and attempt to make it violent seems to me to be more than likely.
They did it in Trump 1.0. Trevor Aronson had great reporting on FBI agents or undercover informants being sent into Black Lives Matter protests and trying to get them to incite violence. You think that with this FBI, Kash Patel, they're not trying that many, many times over? So if you're going to one of these protests, I just want everybody to be extremely careful. If anybody is trying to incite you to do anything violent or illegal, definitely don't. It could be a provocateur.
And make sure also that you're videotaping what's going on there. You got your phone and whatnot. But our adopted catchphrase for the show, "Left is best," which was started as a joke. Because in the wake of Trump's victory in 2016, some dude from Connecticut went to a school and vandalized the school and wrote all over it like, anarchy and left his best. And the day that was done,
like a yearbook thing.
Yeah, we started laughing because that is not and Matt, I think you're looking it up, but we can pop that up there. So this is an impulse by these people, even if it's not the FBI. There is an impulse amongst these people.
Oh, think of the Proud Boys or the Boogaloo Boys or these kind of pip folks, and they're still out there. In fact, they're reinvigorated.
Here we go.
Yeah, here it is. A grown man in Connecticut says he graffitied a playground to embarrass liberals. Left is best was the slogan, which is of course, the cri de coeur of all leftists around the world.
It gets me going every time I hear it.
You vandalized a free library.
But this is the impulse that these people have, and I want to encourage people, go to these protests. They're going to be if they're anything like the last one, they're just going to be, very chill protests. A lot of people are going to get out there. You're going to hear some speeches depending on, where you go. Somebody was asking, would you go to a protest at a capital versus a small town? And my answer is I would probably go to where there's, more likely going to be media. Obviously, if you can't drive, it's still good to go out to your local protest because you're going to build, within that community,
I think it matters
more people
to go to a local protest.
But either way, I think they're nervous about this idea because, in part too, because of there's a lot of authoritarian stuff that's going on, and authoritarian regimes do not like there to be sort of like the opportunity to protest them. I mean, we're watching right now. They're installing at the IRS the failed so-called whistleblower who had the Hunter Biden. Yeah, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about that guy, because they've been active seem to have no compunction in saying the IRS is going to go after Act Blue. It's going to go after all sorts of
Indivisible, the group I mean, they're not sponsoring the No Keen. All they're doing is organizing online, the providing the mechanism for people to sign up for protests and to see where they are. That's really all it is. And some messaging coming out every once in a while. I get some text, but it's not. That's all it is. Of course, Trump says they're Antifa. This is the Antifa network that Stephen Miller is going after, is Indivisible, which you'll recall was put together after the Women's March. And it was basically just an upstart grassroots organization that, one of those that came up after when Trump was elected, that was about to get out the vote. And it has grown into this organization which organizes protests around the country. I mean, it could not be more, innocent. There's absolutely nothing about Indivisible. It's mostly, and it was started, I think, by a bunch of suburban women, if I'm not mistaken, that came out of the Women's March. This guy, Shapley, it was an IRS employee who blew the whistle on Hunter Biden, and he was a big MAGA hero. They put him in, shockingly, when Trump came in, they put him in as the IRS commissioner. And everybody went, holy, what? Are you kidding? And he only lasted 3 days. And I don't know that anybody has ever figured out exactly what happened there. But he's back, and he's in the IRS again, and he is apparently going to be running this operation, which they say will include thousands of agents from the Criminal Investigation Unit. These are IRS agents who, carry weapons and stuff. I'm surprised they're not rousting,
that's the thing.
Immigrants.
How many could be left?
Chicago?
Because they are literally out on the streets, patrolling DC at different times, or tearing mothers away from their kids.
Exactly. They're going to have a full plate. Let's put it that way. And of course, and then you have Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary. He's also saying crazy stuff. I mean, right on those same talking points we were just talking about. He went on CNBC, and I think it was some podcast. Maybe it was the Charlie Kirk podcast, I think, that he went on and started talking about the Antifa and the terrorists and how they're going to go after them like they went after Al Qaeda, and they're going to use the IRS to do it. I mean, so he's totally bought into this strategy, whatever it is. And I think they're fairly serious about this. They talk, who are the things they name? It's what you said, Act Blue, George Soros, of course. I mean, that poor guy, he's 95 years old, but whatever. He's the leader of our resistance movement. Act Blue and Indivisible and some others. Well, here's the real kicker, and it just cracked me up. Apparently, the FBI went to Glenn Beck and asked him for advice on who they should go after. And I don't know. Emma, I don't know if this goes back before you're paying, close attention, because it goes back maybe 20 years. But Glenn Beck, it wasn't even that long ago.
No, it was about 15. He was on CNN, right? This is when his CNN, or was it on Fox? I can't remember where
he moved to Fox, and it was super popular. His show was it was the big one. I mean, it was like the Tucker Carlson of its day. And he would do this thing where he would do called the Puppet Masters. And he had a blackboard where
with
he
his
would
board
write the names.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm enough of a sicko to remember that, even as a 12-year-old or whatever.
If I'm not mistaken, it involved he thought in Rockefeller Center. There was a mural that laid out all the plans.
That's right. It was all there.
Back then, it wasn't, Antifa, as he calls it. It was Saul Alinsky. And everybody was an Alinskyite. Everybody was an Alinskyite. And that was it. Right. Do we have this video? Let's play this video. I know we have it. It's very long. But I think do you have the one with the puppets? Because he called it the Puppet Masters, and he would have these marionettes come flying down from the. What do we got? What number is it, Brian?
I didn't add it on there, but we're pulling it up right now.
Okay.
From the Hullabaloo blog.
Oh yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I found it. Yeah, I found it the other day. Jon Stewart did a whole parody of this that was just hilarious. He did this whole Glenn Beck thing. So, I mean, it's nuts, right? I mean, it was crazy.
Do you think the FBI actually showed up at his
Oh, yeah, actually I do. This is Kash Patel's FBI.
Right,
yeah,
that's
do.
true.
I think they probably did.
We need some tips.
It was probably Kash himself raced over on the private plane,
Oh, and that's right. I'm getting reminded that Glenn Beck was obsessed with the acorn. And for people who don't know, I mean, this is one of the sort of forgotten failures of the Obama administration and of that era. People talk about don't criticize Obama now, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot to criticize contemporaneously. But in retrospect, too, the loss of Democratic lawmakers on a state level was just massive. Governorships, state houses, on and on.
It was a massacre. It really was. It was terrible.
And there was a whole attitude of every person for themselves. And so when ACORN, which was a key organization that would organize low-income people, particularly through tenant organizations and community organizations, ACORN was targeted by what's his name, O'Keefe from Project Veritas, and they just folded the entire government.
Wasn't that the thing where he dressed up like a pimp?
I
and
think
had
that
his, and I think it was Lila Rose, the anti-abortion, activist. She dressed up like the street prostitute,
and they went into one local. I think health clinic
in New Orleans or someplace,
and ACORN was completely decimated. The funding for these organizing groups was destroyed with the complicity of the Democratic Party, and it really fundamentally undermined. It was a Get Out the Vote organization, and fundamentally undermined the get out the vote process and, getting people who are underrepresented to actually get to the polls. Do we have that?
Yep. We have
All
it
right,
now.
let's play some of this. Walk us through some of this, Heather.
Oh, well,
I want to show you
you'll see.
this was just off the cuff, okay? This is how hard it really is, okay? So let's just speculate here for a minute. Let's call it a starting point for people at the FBI or Justice Department as they begin investigating leads. For far too long, the people potentially supporting Antifa have remained in the shadows. That's what Trump is going to end. Is Antifa more than just a decentralized and leaderless organization? Well, I've split Antifa up into 3 different categories: street groups and soldiers, that one, support groups, and funding sources. But let me start right at the top
Pause it
with
for
the
1
street
second. I
groups
guess we
and
should just say you can keep him up there, but we should say, kudos to him for actually calling it Antifa as opposed to Antifa.
Right. Well,
That's how you know
Trump.
he's
Didn't
done his
he change it
research.
to Antifa? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he knows how
he does his own research. Yeah.
He knows how the indigenous Antifa people pronounce it. It's anti-fascist. We should just get the Antifa Politburo to change the name to anti-fascist.
I like how this whole. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I have a very stupid remark, except to say, like, this whole aesthetic is like, it looks like CSI, right? Where they're about to say, how they're going to go after the bad guys. And it feels like he's trying to evoke a police chief as some sort of authority figure for his very elderly audience.
Exactly. And I didn't even know Glenn Beck was still around, to tell you the truth. I mean, where's he been? I know he started his own media company that kind of has,
The Blaze.
sunk into oblivion. It's the Blaze. Does anybody, do anything with that? And the Antifa part, I think, is really interesting because it used to be that Antifa was a good thing, right? In fact, they used to call the people who went over to Spain to fight in the revolution against Franco, they were sort of put down as kind of commie lefties, whatever, and they called them premature anti-fascists, which suggested that being an anti-fascist, they just did it too early, but anti-fascism was a good thing, right? Because we beat the Nazis, et cetera, et cetera. Now suddenly it's bad to be anti-fascist. Go figure. Interesting, don't you think? Considering who's in charge and who's saying that. I mean, just don't call us fascists. Yeah, okay. Well, you sure ain't anti-fascist, that's for sure.
Because this is where the politicians, the media, and the think tanks say, that's the investigation. You just can investigate these guys. Nothing else. Don't look here. But the groups are all over the news, going back to around 2016. Groups like Rose City Antifa Portland, Elm Fork, John Brown Gun Club.
What happened around 2016? Anyway.
Eugene Antifa, Oregon, Atlanta, Pittsburgh Antifa, Refuse Fascism, Jane's Revenge. Now, you've seen the carnage of these groups all over.
Sound like bands.
We continue to see it every day in places like Chicago and Portland, but this is where we're supposed to stop looking. I mean, they can't find anything because the trail goes cold there. Antifa is decentralized.
I see a cop.
Well, if that is true,
watch, she's gonna.
Are these guys who don't work? A lot of them are on drugs, crazy. Are they self-funding all of these things? Because how do we get to the next category, which is support groups? For instance, the National Lawyers Guild. This is the legal arm for Antifa. If you've been in a riot or seen anything on TV, you're watching on the side, there are people standing on the side and they're wearing the green hats, okay? That's the National Lawyers Guild. They openly brag about how they provide.
The best way to stay
shadows.
Sleeper cell.
Hiding in plain sight with their
And
brightly
they're
colored hats.
Yeah, we got the wrong
law.
green. We wanted camo.
They're making sure that people are following the law. Good.
Legal support to the street soldiers. But there's no organization in that. No. Next, we have Antifa International. This one's kind of hilarious because the people who describe Antifa as decentralized and leaderless, you have an Antifa International. I mean, it's like BLM Inc. From an Antifa fundraiser, and again, who do you write the check to? They're described as, quote, an international anti-fascist collective with years of experience managing the International Anti-Fascist Defense Fund and other anti-fascist projects. So you have no central control, no base of operations or anything else, but you have years of experience managing. Really?
And a website.
How about Antifa International? Antifa International helped fundraise the Legal Defense Fund for the militants that attacked the ICE facility in Texas. And while we're at it, take a look at Community Justice Exchange.
Can you pause it for 1 second?
Yeah, come on now.
Like he is
this bullshit.
Why
funding the legal defense. Funding the legal defense is very, very different than funding them to protests. Like, there are nonprofits, there are things like pro bono work, although the Trump administration has waged war against that with all the elite law firms.
Thank you for all that pro bono work for me.
Yes.
Like the ACLU, they sometimes defend people who have done hate speech, or back in the day, they were protecting the free speech rights of people, even if it was stuff that I would think is racist or reprehensible.
Nazis. They defended Nazis. They did.
They defended Nazis, but and that is a very equivalent service to the one that he's describing. But apparently, this is some international network.
I mean, everyone who has looked at any footage of these protests knows that we actually should have people there monitoring the people cracking heads so that people aren't just victimized by them willy-nilly.
I'm sorry, did you say the ACLU? Yes, but you also notice that is the first and last letters in Antifa. And then also,
there you
look
go.
at that. Emma. Interesting. Go ahead. Go ahead. Just go. Keep going. Let's keep going.
National Bail
over the
Fund
target.
Network. They were bailing people out during the Summer of Rage of George Floyd riots. They're probably worth looking into, specifically due to their major partner, which is, oh my gosh, the Tides Foundation, our old friends at the Tides Foundation. Look, these connections, these organizations are legion. We are legion. Yeah, that's probably what they say. Anyway,
get it, Christians.
Remember, as per all the politicians and media experts, no centralized organization. Okay, but you have the support groups that are supporting them with no organization. And then you have this, funding sources. Now, this is interesting. Again, who do you write to check to? This is split between nonprofits and foundations, also crowdfunding sources. Now, I already mentioned the Tides Foundation, one of the darkest of the dark left-wing radical money funnels on the planet. You know, who knows all the trails that lead back to Tides? But just for starters, let's look at these. Tides Foundation funds an organization called Alliance for Global Justice. Money from here. They refunnel money to groups.
This is just a big list of all the groups that Glenn Beck has been freaked out about for like his entire career.
It is finally come together.
It's fine. They've finally been written on a blackboard next to the word Antifa.
And the FBI is listening at long last. They are putting their faith in the man who did the work and did the research.
He's one of those volunteer sheriffs. He's like those volunteer, you know.
Like Herschel Walker or whatever.
Yeah. And Dean Cain. Whatever happened to him at ICE? Is he still there?
I think he was the guy who we watched fall
over
the other day.
And his gun went flying on down the street. Yeah, that was good.
Well,
so this is the state of where we are in the Antifa the Antifa investigation. And they put this guy Gary Shapley in the IRS, which I would say he's just maybe a step below Glenn Beck as far as credibility is concerned. That doesn't mean that they're not going to do something, because they will. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that they can, they'll get rid of anybody who objects to breaking the law. And the law is very clear that they're not allowed to do any of this stuff in terms of investigating people just because of their, whatever their political disposition is. But they're going to do it anyway. And, I think mostly it's a PR thing. I think they're probably going to, maybe they'll go after and indict or audit some of the groups, but mostly it's just a matter of threatening people and threats and intimidation, which is what they're doing across the board. I mean, a lot of this stuff is just standard authoritarian playbook. Just get some examples out there, arrest James Comey, arrest Letitia James, threaten people with IRS audits, and a lot of that is just that at the same time, though, they actually have a police state in action in the Department of Homeland Security, which has been given a blank check. Yep. Apparently, to do whatever they want. And they are cracking heads. They are hurting and killing and shooting and killing people in the streets of America. That is happening. And so you put that combination together of all these threats of using the Department of Justice, the IRS, and then what's happening in the streets. And we're there now. I mean, it's fa of Antifa. It's full fa. We're full fa now.
Heather Parton, always a pleasure.
Well, this was fun.
Yes.
Good to laugh, right?
Getting some Glenn Beck in there. It's been a while, so that was kind of fun.
But as always, thank you so much. We will link to your salon.com columns and, of course, Hullabaloo. Really appreciate your time today. Yeah. And folks.
See you all in the streets tomorrow.
Exactly.
We're all going.
All right,
we're
going to take a quick break. Yes, take pictures, folks. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the triumphant return of Matthew Film Guy. We'll be right back after this. Yes, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm back.
It has been way too long. Emma Vigeland, Sam Seder on the Majority Report, and joining us is Matthew Film Guy. Matthew, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
How long?
Over a year. Over a year. Yeah.
No. Are you serious?
I think it was May of 2024 was my last appearance.
You're kidding.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of shit's gone down since then. So I understand. Believe me.
Well, I'm sorry. It didn't seem that long, to be honest with you, with all due respect.
Time is a flat circle at this point. A lot of shit's happening.
Yes. What was it that Cernovich said that got him kicked off of InfoWars? Like the
time is delayed.
Time is delayed.
Yeah, time is definitely time.
We are in the singularity now. Matthew Film Guy, what have you been up to over the past over a year?
Well, geez, since the last time I saw you, I edited a feature film that's going to be making the festival rounds coming up soon called Act One, directed by Sophia Takal.
Whoa, okay.
And,
very cool.
Since then, I've honestly just been reading a lot of scripts from my agents, and no projects have landed quite yet. But meanwhile, I've been doing my amazing online film appreciation class, which I don't know if you know, but your sister.
Is it fully online now?
Yes, it's fully online.
I guess it's been that way for the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, since the pandemic, we moved to fully online. And that's why I can offer it to every viewer that is listening to the sound of my voice. You can go to the link that's hopefully in the description and join us. We're halfway through the, I guess it's the fall session right now, but you can jump on at any time. We watch challenging movies. We watch movies that require a little bit more concentration, a little bit more effort. And then we meet on Tuesdays at noon and have an 1.5 to 2 hour discussion about the movies that I lead.
Well, that's why you're called a Matthew film guy and not Matthew movie guy, even though the alliteration would have been better.
Yeah. I mean, you coined the term, Sam, so I'll go with whatever you decided, but you called me Matthew.
Well, that's why I coined it that way, because you're a film guy. I mean,
right. Siniste guy would have gone too far.
I was gonna say we could have gone Matthew Siniste guy, but that would have been too it just. I don't know how to spell it. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, Cinematthew would have been.
That's maybe like my wrestling name or something.
Cinematthew Addict.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Matthew Film Guy, it works. It's what my Letterboxd is called. People can follow me on Letterboxd and see all the various movies that I watch and give little capsule.
And your film appreciation class is it's a lot of like boomers, right? I mean,
well, it started out as a
the Greatest Generation. I think it was
extended education class. Yes, that was the original impulse. So there is a healthy proportion of them are of senior citizen age, but they're all extremely.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, do we get a discount? Because I'm right on the edge of getting a discount.
Yeah, you know what? If you say that you're you heard about it from the show, you can get the member price.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, tell us about this movie though before we go. Before you give us some ideas of what we should be watching at this time. Tell us about the movie you edited.
It's called Act One. It's about a girl who joins an acting class. She's a high school girl that joins an acting class, and the woman that runs it is somewhat of like a Svengali, and she sort of is putting her at odds with her family. It's kind of an interesting sort of take on the sort of teen drama. It's very weird. It gets sort of esoteric and sort of darkly sexual, I want to say. She starts to sort of push her into these sexual realms. So I don't want to give away too much about it, but it's definitely
typical Hollywood degeneracy.
Yeah, typical Hollywood degeneracy. I mean, no, it's definitely an independent film of the highest order, but
Love
you
That's exciting.
Now, am I ruining OPSEC by saying that you are? I think you're a constituent of Zohran Mamdani's. Is that correct?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah. He is the assembly member. His office is right above my grocery store, so I walk by his office every other day when I go buy some more half and half for my coffee. And actually, there was a protest outside his office a couple months ago that was pretty exciting. It was a bunch of Sliwa supporters chanting, "You're a communist," and "Go back to the Middle East," and all this crazy crap. And so I had to endure that for a second there. But yeah, he's definitely my representative, my assembly member.
All right. Did you watch the debate? I mean, how are you excited for Mamdani? Or
I'm totally excited for Mamdani. I'm voting for him as many times as possible. And I didn't watch it live, but I watched a lot of the clips, a lot of the repeats. There's nothing he could say that would make me like him anymore, and there's nothing that Cuomo could say that could make me like him any less. So I didn't necessarily need to watch it live.
Well, you did miss them asking about if they've ever been to a cannabis dispensary.
Yeah, I saw that clip.
We have that, and Zohran very sheepishly admitted it, although I don't know why in 2025 this is some sort of issue. They were chanting, "Go back to the Middle East." Like, it's really annoying me that people. He's from Uganda.
Right.
And his family is ethnically Indian.
I know. It's
like split the difference.
It's driving me crazy.
People genuinely want him to travel. They just
Yeah,
genuinely want them to travel. And because after they said go back to the Middle East, they also said then also visit Ontario.
it's nice.
Do you realize how important Hajj is to your religion?
Yeah, I think that's what they had in mind. The Hajj. Make the Hajj, buddy.
So Matthew, how have you been? How is your state of mind? Like, do you?
I'm losing it, bro.
Are you losing it?
Yeah, I'm losing it, bro. I mean, listen, I listen to the show practically every day, so I'm well aware of the TikTok of the destruction of this goddamn country.
I'm losing it, bro.
Exactly. That is where I'm at. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for my ability to consume cinema, I would be absolutely a wreck. You know, I'm clinging to, I mean, this class, it gives me so much. Honestly, it's not just what I'm giving to the students, what they're giving back to me in terms of an analysis of the state of the emotional, the heart of humanity. You know, I always love quoting the famous quote from Ezra Pound. He said that literature, although I apply it to film, is news that stays news. And it just feels to me like if it wasn't for my ability to explore the deeper realms of human consciousness, I would absolutely be basically standing on a ledge ready to jump.
No matter how
okay, all right, well, hang in there.
But no matter how depressing, like someone said this to me, or maybe I saw it on Twitter, which is even more depressing. But like the idea that even if life gets so bad, there's always a new movie to watch. That's like a good way to look at things.
And honestly, for me, not even a new movie, but the whole history of the realm of cinema, which is at our fingertips now in this day and age. You know, you can look at my diary on Letterboxd, and I'm watching things from all over the globe, all over the timeline, from silent movies of the teens to, you know, actually a great movie that we just watched in class 2 weeks ago, the latest movie by Mike Lee, which is called Hard Truths. It's was just an amazing humanistic portrait of a woman going through anger issues that really, you know, it expands your ability to sympathize and to have a conscious connection to your fellow humans. And that's something that I think is missing from politics in general. It's all about beating the other person and domination. Even when you're a partisan for the left, you know, it has this kind of antagonistic tone to it. Whereas film, the best films are empathy creating machines, you know, putting you in sympathy with your fellow humans, even the ones that are maybe prickly or sort of dark or negative, you know, and that to me is, it's a lifesaver, believe me.
That's what I felt when I watched the MI7, the final of the Mission Impossible series.
You know, I have yet to get to that. That is on my list. But yeah, listen, I consume the brainless Hollywood entertainment as well. You know, the Marvel movies and so on. So I have a spot in my heart for just disconnecting my conscious brain and enjoying that as well. So I could see you.
I mean, okay, that sounded a little backhanded, but that's okay. You know, I have a 12-year-old. You know, as you know, I have. And
I have an inner 12-year-old, right, that I'm still in connection with. So
Matthew, what is, before you get to suggestions for us as to what we should be watching in this era, which is a pretty unique era in terms of, I think, American, well, it's somewhat unique in terms of American history. I don't want to overstate it, but in terms of the authoritarianism, that is, there's, I guess it's really more, its victims are more widely distributed. Let's put it that way, or potentially could be. What's the most recent new release that you have watched?
Oh my God. You know, I get so turned off by trying to catch up on the newest movies. So I don't know, the newest movie that I've seen.
The Sting?
No.
A Woman Under the Influence?
Yeah, exactly.
No, that is my favorite movie, or one of my favorite movies, but no. That's 1974, so that I've seen something newer than that. Actually, it might be Mike Lee's Hard Truths, which just came out last year. That was a 2024 movie, so it could be actually that one, the one that I just mentioned. I think I also saw this comedy called Friendship. I don't know if you know.
I saw
Yeah.
that.
I saw that.
Yeah,
What'd you
that was
think?
pretty funny. That was pretty dark and twisted. I like that one.
I love that. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah. so
Paul
that made
Rudd,
me-
right? And who's that other dude in it?
Tim Robinson. You didn't
Tim
see One
Robinson.
Battle After Another. We get IMs about it.
No, I have not seen that yet. It's
Is that the
not
Paul Thomas Anderson one?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a secret that I'm not the biggest Paul Thomas Anderson fan. I sort of see him as a film school fabulous guy playing with the genre more than making a sort of deep connection to the human condition. But
Emma
there
started
we
kicking
go.
the desk.
I didn't start kicking. I just tapped my foot slightly.
yeah,
Just
but
tapped it.
I've heard how amazing
Blood
the new
coming out of your
movie
nose,
is.
Emma.
Did you see the new Superman movie? Because Emma thought that was great too.
Yes, I did.
By the time I'm done with this career, I don't think I'll like anything anymore.
But I'm not here to dump on anybody's taste, really. I'm here to support what I like and try to be a champion for something different. But I'm not.
But
here
you
to-
haven't seen it, but you don't like it preemptively.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
Honestly,
Sam.
The movie of his, Sam put those words in my mouth. I saw that earlier.
You and I share a similar skepticism of Paul Thomas Anderson along those lines. Now, I haven't seen nearly as many of his films. Like I think there was one or two in there. I remember liking Punch Drunk Love actually.
Yeah, movie's incredible. I love that movie.
Boogie Nights is incredible. There Will Be Blood is like one of the best movies about
Phantom Thread?
American
Boogie
capitalism
Nights was
ever made,
okay,
arguably.
but it was sort of, I don't know.
None of these movies thrilled me, to be honest. They're impressive on a craft level, and as a technician, I think he's really remarkable and extremely slick. And honestly, give him credit for being more intelligent than the latest Marvel movie and whatever. Like, thank God we have a guy like him making mainstream movies. So I appreciate him on that level. But honestly, Punch Drunk Love, I didn't. It seems so.
Maybe I thought
to me.
Adam Sandler was actually pretty good in that. I think maybe that was what it was. I mean, I haven't seen it in probably 15 years. So
It's amazing in that. When Adam Sandler wants to be dramatic, it's actually like quite good, I would say.
Matthew Film Guy is not having any of this. So
Honestly, the movie of Paul Thomas Anderson's, if you want to talk about a movie of his that I love, was The Master. That movie was legitimately weird and legitimately esoteric in a way that I don't think he's ever approached before. It certainly was thematically rich in a way that it didn't make necessarily conceptual sense. Like a lot of his movies are sort of quoting other movies and sort of repackaging other cinematic touchstones. But that one to me felt genuinely, legitimately authentic and sort of reaching for something personal from him that I hadn't seen before. So that one I really loved.
Okay.
Phantom Thread is very personal too, in a way that I thought that was daring. I don't know if you've seen that, but
My favorite movie.
that's one of my favorites.
Again, it was technically proficient, but I didn't really connect with it, I have to say.
Matthew, so let's get to your picks. But before we do, Andor. Have you watched Andor?
Yes, I have watched Andor.
All right. What do you think?
Yeah.
Awesome, right?
I mean, super cool Star Wars story. I mean, I love the whole.
Hey, why'd you got to do it that way?
Because it is a super cool.
Yeah,
Star
it's
Wars
part of the
movie.
Star Wars franchise, but it really is like it stands on its own.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate the.
You don't need the Star Wars part of it at all, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, there's no force using, there's no lightsabers, so it sort of avoids all of that sort of side of the world. So yeah, no, I didn't mean to denigrate it. It's just I'm telling you how I feel.
Okay, all right. Well, say how you feel. I got thrown off when you said Star Wars.
I appreciate its sort of fascist storytelling and the sort of
anti-fascist.
Anti-fascist. Yeah, showing how they lure everybody into the square and then they start shooting them. Not to be a
dude.
spoiler.
What the heck?
Hey, if you haven't seen it by now, I'm sorry, but it's a great it's a great sort of metaphor for our current time. So I give him credit for being able to produce such a thing at Disney. So that to me is a value.
I think it's a good. I like me. I like a sci-fi that it has like some type of interior stuff going on.
Yeah, like Battlestar Galactica.
Like Battlestar Galactica. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate you remembering that.
Yeah.
All right, so Matthew, now for what everybody has been waiting for while we go on all of these detours and distractions. What movie? I should tell people this. You are one of the one of the first guests on the show, probably 15 or 16 years ago. And the idea was my kids were much younger at that time, and I could never go out to see a movie. It turns out I still don't go out to see movies, but I could never go out. And they had this newfangled thing called streaming by Netflix. And so, and then of course, over the years, we were able to see DVDs and stuff like that. Do you still get like Criterion DVDs or no? Or do you all streaming? Okay. Yeah. Interesting. No Blu-ray disc.
Occasionally, a filmmaker will have a Kickstarter that'll help them fund an independent film. Like Hal Hartley just had an independent Kickstarter to fund his new film, so I bought that Blu-ray that way. So the rare occasion do I buy a Blu-ray.
Okay, and so you would give suggestions. What do you suggest that folks watch that is relevant in this era?
Okay, now I just spoke about how I'm watching all these films that uplift the human soul. So I'm going to make a left turn here and talk about a movie that is extremely dark and challenging to watch. It's a movie from 2012 called The Act of Killing. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a documentary. I don't know if anyone here has seen it, but we watched it in class. It's streaming on Peacock. And I recommend you watch the full-length version. There's a truncated version that they had to cut down for domestic audiences here in America. But the full-length version, it's about 2 hours and 40 minutes. But it's an absolute mind fuck of a movie. It's basically following two of the murderers of the Indonesian communist purge of the mid 1960s. In modern day times, and the filmmaker has sort of, in a kind of Sacha Baron Cohen-esque way, tricked them into recreating the actual murders that they've committed. So they're staging them as these big cinematic tableaus, and they're making references to all these other movies like gangster movies and westerns, and it's this surrealistic sort of mix of celebrating. They go through town and they try to cast people to play the communists, and they're all super scared because the current atmosphere, at least in 2012 in Indonesia, was such that anyone even associated with communism was absolutely feared for their lives. And basically, I don't know if you know the story, but in Indonesia in the 1960s, there was this huge mass murder. It could be up to 1 million people were killed under the guise of fighting communism. And they use these gangsters, basically. And the main character in this movie is this guy, Anwar Congo. And he's now this older grandpa kind of guy. And he's still venerated as this hero of this purge. And his sidekick is this guy, Herman Kato, who's a current gangster. And he's in this group called the Pancasila Youth, which is basically a paramilitary group that was instrumental in carrying out these murders. And it's just a remarkable look into the psychology of this guy, because everywhere he goes, people are like, oh, you're this great hero, you did this stuff. And he's actually recreating these murders, and he slowly, very slowly starts to feel some remorse. And it's very twisted the way he starts to understand the violence that he enacted. And it just, I can't describe how surreal it is, because they put them into these tableaus where they're like dressed up like movie gangsters. The original name for these guys were the movie gangsters. They actually called them movie gangsters because they started out hanging out outside movie theaters and selling bootleg tickets, scalping tickets. And they got hired to basically be these thugs, these, sanctioned murderers. And he demonstrates how he chokes them. He said, hey, I used to beat them in the head, but there was too much blood. Then I figured out, I learned in the movies that I could choke them with a wire, and he demonstrates it. It's absolutely horrific. The way you're asked to sort of enter into the mind of this murderer. And it actually is a picture of the entire system, because they go through all these other different officials. There's the governor of North Sumatra that they interview. There's a newspaper publisher who was part of the killing pipeline. He would sort of rat on people and call them out. And people are giving these speeches about how we need gangsters. Gangsters are what keep this country free, and God hates communists. And one of the major scenes is they go on this talk show because apparently word got out that they're remaking this movie, which is depicting the heroic acts of murder of all these communists. And they go on this talk show, and the talk show host is going, "Oh, he made a good way of killing communists. He's such a hero." And it's like it's so chilling to see the sort of end result. And this is what I sort of relate to what we're going through now, the end result of naked, absolute authoritarian violence and the sanctioning of violence, similar to what we're seeing with ICE, but on a much more overt level, of these paramilitary sanctioned gangsters just enacting the political will of the majority and just killing anyone who's even associated with being a communist or a trade unionist or a leftist of any kind. And it's absolutely still reverberating till today, the effects of this extreme purge. And this documentary is just so, he gets such access to these people, and they're sort of proud of what they did. And they're going around sort of being celebrated by the local populace. Some of them you can see are very afraid of these people. But there's all these...
Sounds like a perfect movie for me to watch with my son.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely watch it with the family, get a big bowl of popcorn, pull up a blanket, and cuddle up with this movie. No,
it does sound
there is going to
fascinating,
be... that sounds I remember hearing about that film, and it was either in the conversation for Oscar documentary or something like that. Like, it was getting awards buzz at the time. And what it is, when Sam and I went to that Zateo documentary like a year ago, right? It was obviously it was a short. I don't think it was a full length feature, but it's similar territory of like Zateo interviewed a lot of basically Israeli soldiers about the crimes that they had committed. And like, it just, when you're describing this, of course, all I can think about is the genocide in Gaza too, and what future documentarians are going to have endless footage to choose from to see people explain their crimes in chilling detail. But the intimacy of what you're saying might be even harder to find as well, where you see somebody eventually start to have a bit of remorse. Like, that's cinematic in a way that we may not even have with this genocide.
I mean, this is going back, 60 years. So it's a sort of, there's maybe enough time for this guy. You know, at the end of the movie, this isn't necessarily spoiling anything, but at the end of the movie, he's watching footage, and the filmmaker films the guy watching footage that they shot of him in this movie set sort of world where they think they're making a movie. He tells them, we're making a movie celebrating what you did, but obviously he's peeling the layers back on what he did. Wow. And he's watching the footage of it, and he says to his grandson, "Come here, watch Grandpa getting choked. Watch Grandpa, watch." And the filmmaker's like, should he be watching that? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And then that's when he starts to sort of choke up and sort of realize, like, oh, now I understand what they went through. And the filmmaker says, well, you don't really understand what they went through because they were actually going to die. You know, it's a movie. So it's such a twisted sort of extremely complicated foray into this man's psychology that I cannot recommend any more highly, but it definitely is a challenging watch. It's not necessarily a relaxing watch, but it's a warning for where we could be headed. Actually, that's how I took it too.
Matthew, film guy, great recommendation. I'm going to put it on my list. I have 10, 12 years of lists of movies of yours that I got to catch up on, but I'm getting there. I'm getting close. Kids, okay, you know, the kid's going to age out of this era of action films all the time. So
by the time you get to this movie, he should be old enough to appreciate it.
Wonderful. Matthew, film guy, always a pleasure. We got to do this again soon.
Definitely, Sam. Thank you, guys. Great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, head into the fun half. Just a reminder, it's your support that makes this show possible. You can become a member at jointhemajorityreport.com. When you do, you not only get the free show free of commercials, you also get the fun half. Don't forget AM Quickie, our Discord, and justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, hot chocolate. Use the coupon code majority. You get 10% off all of their coffee. You can get the Majority Report blend. Check it out. Awesome. Roasters and co-op in Madison, Wisconsin. Matt, Left Reckoning.
Yeah, Left Reckoning at patreon.com/Left Reckoning. If you sign up, you can hear the Sunday show this weekend where we're going to get into Graham Plattner's Reddit posts and why it looks like desperation for Janet Mills, who is going to lose that primary.
It's early to be that desperate, but she's getting there quick.
Yep.
She doesn't have much time.
Pull the lever. So patreon.com/Left Reckoning for our patrons.
That should be her angle. I will act with urgency because I don't have a lot of time left.
Although the filibuster stays.
Yeah, for some reason.
right,
the
quick
Reddit
break.
post. I'm sorry, but just want to say, like, they are dumping that way too early. Did I say this earlier? It's been a
No,
long.
that was before the show.
Okay, yeah, like they are freaked out if this is the Oppo research that they're already putting out there. But
Okay, see you in the fun half.
3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now. And I don't think it's going to be the same as it looks like in 6 months from now. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to be better 6 months from now than it is 3 months from now. But I think around 18 months out, we're going to look back and go like, wow. What? What is that going on? It's nuts. Wait a second. Hold on for a second. Emma, welcome to the program.
Hey.
Matt.
What is up, everyone?
Nomiki.
You did it. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Bradley, you want to say hello?
Sorry to disappoint everyone. I'm just a random guy.
It's all the boys today.
Fundamentally false.
No, I'm sorry. Women's.
Stop talking for a second. Now let me finish.
Where is this coming from, dude?
But dude, you want to smoke this 7A?
Yes.
Hi, me? This me?
Yes.
Is this me?
Is it me?
It is you.
Is this me? Hello, is this me?
I think it is you. Who is you? No sound. Every single freaking day. What's on your mind?
Sports.
We can discuss free markets and we can discuss capitalism.
I'm gonna go throw up.
Who libertarians? They're so stupid though. Common sense says, of course.
Gobbledygook.
We fucking nailed him.
So what's 79 plus 21?
Challenge Matt.
I'm positively quivering.
I believe 96, I want to say. 857-210-501. 1/2. 3 8s.
9/11, for instance.
$3,400, $1,900.
6, 5, 4, $3 trillion sold. It's a zero-sum game.
Actually, you're making me think less of it.
But let me say this. Poop.
You can call it satire. Sam goes, it's satire.
On top of it all,
Yeah.
my favorite part about you is just like every day, all day, like
Yeah.
everything you do.
Without a doubt. Hey, buddy, we see you. All right, folks.
It's just the weak being weeded out, obviously.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out. I don't know.
But you should know.
People just don't like to entertain ideas anymore.
I have a question. Who cares?
Our chat is enabled, folks.
I love it.
I do love that.
Look, gotta jump. Gotta be quick. I gotta jump.
I'm losing it, bro.
2 o'clock. We're already late, and the guy's being a dick. So screw him. Sent to a gulag?
Outrageous.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Love you, bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Back.
We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report. Let's get right into it. Last night there was a debate in New York City There's another debate, right? Is there like one more scheduled?
I'm not sure.
I
mean, we're very close
Yeah,
to the
I don't know if
election at
there's-
this point because early voting starts on the 28th, I think, which is a week from tomorrow.
Yes. One wonders how much pressure Cuomo felt in this debate because he's down.
26,
look,
sorry.
He's down. I think Fox News just had a poll that showed amongst likely voters, Mamdani is up 52 to 23. I mean, like way out of reach. Registered voters, Mamdani is again ahead, I think, well into the 40s, and Cuomo dropped. And Mamdani picked up about 4 points, and Cuomo lost about 4 points. So even was Sliwa's votes, if for whatever reason Sliwa dropped out, but it's quite clear he's not going to. That dude was not going to miss the debates. Although, do we play that Charlemagne the God clip? Did you see that? He was on there saying that Eric Adams had been that he had been offered $10 million to drop out of the race.
Play that. No, but I saw that.
$10 million of Bill Ackman's daughter's inheritance money.
He said billionaires they promised like $10 million and a no-show job, and like a
dream job,
free car. And Sliwa was like, I'm not doing that. So he's like, Eric Adams got at least that. I think he was saying like he was, it was like The Price is Right. He was just shopping around. And so I think Sliwa genuinely enjoys being up on that stage. And I think he probably does not like Cuomo. That's what it feels like a little bit to me.
No one does.
Did anybody pick up on that?
Anybody that's actually worked in the state of New York and has had to try to get something done basically hates Andrew Cuomo.
Even the people that gave him hundreds of thousands of dollars said, don't mistake that for enthusiasm. I just need to protect my ability to do business in case he wins.
Because that's how he operates, like a gangster. He really is Blue Trump.
I seem to remember there was a big birthday party for Andrew Cuomo on his 50th birthday, and his father didn't go. Anyways.
Was he visiting a grad school friend's grave in Connecticut?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Had to. Here is, let's do clip number one. This is Mamdani answering the question of his age and his lack of executive experience, which, I mean, the age does not seem like a liability these days in this political environment. And I think, Donald Trump has won the presidency twice based upon his essentially having a marketing company. And to be clear, this is an important exchange because I think you're going to see a lot of candidates. There are a lot of challengers to Democrats, to incumbent Democrats, primary challenges. And I think you're going to see this a lot. Clip number one.
I think I was invoked.
Yes.
In other words, what the Assemblyman said is he has no experience. And this is not a job for someone who has no management experience to run 300,000 people, no financial experience to run $115 billion budget. He literally has never had a job. On his resume, it says he interned for his mother. This is not a job for a first-timer. Any day, you could have a hurricane, you have, God forbid, a 9/11, a health pandemic. If you don't know what you're doing, people could die.
Mr. Mamdani, you want to respond? And if we have a health pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death in nursing homes? That's the kind of experience that's on offer here today. What I don't have in experience, I make up for in integrity. And what you don't have in integrity, you could never make up for in experience.
Yes. May I?
May I? And to be clear, those nursing homes that Andrew Cuomo sent those elderly to were of a big contributor to Andrew Cuomo.
Mm-hmm.
So, you scratch my back, I scratch your back, I give you a little business.
It's just managing things over here.
It's called managing. I'm literally pushing piles of money around on a board.
Pretty
Also-
rich of him to call out somebody's parent as a resume.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
I mean, so much there.
It was on your resume, buddy.
Cuomo.
Being an
Cuomo. Where have I heard that
Cuomo.
name before?
What is an assemblyman? Is that a job? Like I'm pretty sure that's a tough job.
It's not a business.
It's not a business. Yeah, right. And prior to that, maybe when he was interning for his mom, he was doing some of those rap videos where he was working on his skills because he
That's
has
social media.
bars for days. Every time I think he has like some sort of poetic zinger for Cuomo that he's like overused, he has another one in his back pocket. That one's perfect and exactly the case.
Here is Cuomo on. He's doubled. He's tried to sort of like he's playing catch up in terms of having never visited a mosque as an entire career as a governor in this state, which has a very sizable Muslim population in this state. Never mind in the city, but he has been attempting to sort of claim that Mamdani is a bad Muslim throughout this. But here's number 2.
Yeah, this is in the Israel, Gaza, NYC section, which lasted over 10 minutes.
Oh, it was nearly 20. I was trying to count it. And
I was just judging based on the Chiron. Here,
And
but yeah.
this was at the begin, like they got to affordability mostly in the second hour. And at least for me, I had to switch from cable to YouTube to watch that part because they started playing Law and Order instead. So glad they spent 20 minutes on foreign policy for the mayoral debate.
Well, while you are a strong supporter of Israel, you have also been slow to develop a relationship with the city's Muslim community. You have called Mr. Mamdani a terrorist sympathizer. How do you assure those New Yorkers, especially Muslims and Arabic New Yorkers, that you will be a mayor for all? You'll have 1 minute.
Yeah, well, first, I think the assemblyman created the perception himself. Why wouldn't he condemn Hamas? Why wouldn't he condemn Hassan Piker? Why did it take us here tonight
Hold on
first
for
time?
1 second. Now, so if you are a voter in New York City, and you are not probably under the age of 35, and you are watching this on TV, and you're not a Mamdani supporter, you have no idea who Hassan Piker is. The only people who know who Hassan Piker is, who are tuning into this, are either the dude from the ADL or Mamdani fans.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, we talked about this, like, I've mentioned this before, but when Obama first ran in 2008, you had all the right wingers going like, he's Chicago style politics. And it's like, dude, that's a reference from 80 years ago. Nobody knows what you're talking about. But people get fixated on things he waged that Hassan Piker as if it was like, this is the nuke. Here it comes. Will you condemn Hassan Piker?
Yeah. And by the way, Zoran does at some point, say he found Hassan's comments about America deserving 9/11 to be reprehensible. And it makes total sense that Zoran would distance himself from those comments as somebody running for mayor of New York City where 9/11 happened. Just want to be clear about that. I don't think Hassan
has too himself.
I doubt Hassan would even take that serious. Like, he knows, right? I mean, and the fact that this is where Cuomo has to go, where the question that was directed towards him after, by the way, there was a bunch of loaded questions towards Zoran about supposed anti-Semitism and globalize the Intifada. Then they turned to this. It's like this Islamophobia was the undercurrent here, although that never gets discussed. In the 21st century in this country, one of the most pervasive and impactful forms of bigotry has been the hatred of Muslim people and Islamophobia in this country. It has resulted in the rollback of civil liberties and rights for all of us, in part of why we're seeing the surveillance state, the ICE contracts with Palantir. That is the result of the Patriot Act and the subsequent destruction of our civil liberties that they first used in mosques. And so why this is a relevant question, and it should be infinitely more important than the smears that are thrown at Zoran for, God forbid, being a Muslim person who stands for human rights, is the fact that Cuomo was such a racist and was so willing to participate in that very system that led us to this moment, that he only visited the mosque when he was forced to. That is why that's relevant in my view.
And I would, it's to the point that Emma's making. Was it Reign of Terror, that Spencer Ackerman book? What was his last book?
Yeah.
That book was very much about how
Reign of Terror.
How the things that were implemented at that time brought us this era. Donald Trump and all of it. Go ahead.
Him to say it. He still won't denounce globalize the intifada, which means kill all Jews. Just say, I denounce it. He won't do it. That's the issue.
Mr.
And his
Cuomo,
divisiveness
can you address the question
is
that we're putting
chronic.
to you? I think you've made the point, but can you please answer about your...
Oh yeah, he forgot he was asked about failing to represent Muslims in New York. He completely
And he
didn't
just
even
went on. Wait,
register it.
did you say Muslim? Oh wait,
Yeah.
let me go with my Islamophobic strip.
Yes.
Oh, darn it.
And no one's paying attention to this. Like, I mean, no one's paying attention to this part, which is another piece of evidence that I'm talking about here. Whereas Islamophobia is so pervasive, it's a part of almost every element of our political discourse.
Can you address the question that we're putting to
chronic.
you? I think you've made the point, but can you please answer about your own relationship with the Muslim community? You did not visit mosques for many years. More recently, you have been.
I don't think in any way the assemblyman is representative of the Muslim community, which is a vital community in New York City, and I am very fond of, and I've been working with. I think he's playing his own politics. Many of his positions don't even follow the Muslim faith, so I see them as two totally separate things.
Mr. Mamdani, you want to respond?
It took Andrew Cuomo being beaten by a Muslim candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality, and they want respect. And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many New Yorkers have lost faith in this politics.
Yeah, except that is totally false. I worked with the Muslim community for many years.
Name a single mosque you went to when you were the governor. Can you name a single mosque you went to in 10 years?
Before you were ever here. They were
before I was here.
Before you were even in state government. I worked with the Muslim community. Imams presided over State of the States. We worked in religious working groups, tolerance groups, anti-Semitic groups, etc.
All right, gentlemen.
There you go. Pretty disgusting. That line is not getting any coverage. Speaking exactly what I'm saying. Can you imagine if Zoran was debating a Jewish candidate and said, "You're not really a Jew"? Can you imagine what the headlines would be coming out of that? You're not like a good Jew. You don't practice Judaism the right way. Can you imagine?
It's a Donald Trump line, right? I mean, Donald Trump was up there like, a lot of these Jews are bad because they don't support Israel. I mean, that was his big line,
Is Kamala Indian or is she black? The way that he repeatedly misspeaks when speaking about Zoran, he's been running against him now in 2 different elections, the primary where he lost and the general where he's going to lose again. And the
you couldn't even say the whole thing.
I'm getting fired up, but I'm messing up again. Please don't. It's my fault if something bad happens. But I lost track of what I was saying.
The heat is on them when they do this.
Shoot. I literally got so scared. I stopped. I forgot. I lost my train of thought.
I did see a Fox News headline that said Mamdani's chance plummet after bruising debate, and then it said 90% to 88% were his chances of victory. That was the big bruise he took.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, they went from 90 to 88?
Yeah, and they called it a bruising debate.
Wow.
Prediction market.
All right, we got here's Mamdani talking about his free bus plan, and well answered, because what it really does is it points to Cuomo's sort of corruption and willingness to kowtow to billionaires and millionaires.
Okay. All right. Thanks, gentlemen. Sally?
Thank you, David. Let's talk about free buses. Mr. Mamdani, this is a centerpiece of your campaign. Can you explain how you will make buses free? You have 30 seconds to answer.
Absolutely. We will make buses free by replacing the revenue that the MTA currently gets from buses. This is revenue that's around $700 million or so. That's less money than Andrew Cuomo gave to Elon Musk in $959 million in tax credits when he was the governor. And the reason that we will do so is that making buses free doesn't just provide economic relief, but also public safety. Because what we've seen is that it decreases assaults on bus drivers by 38.9%. New Yorkers deserve more than the slowest buses in the country. I know that because I was on the M57 not too long ago, and its average speed is 4.9 miles an hour.
We're at time, though, but the question is how you'll make them free.
We will fund the revenue that would have otherwise been brought in from fares, and that's something that we would do in partnership with Albany, and I've put forward two proposals. The first is to raise taxes on the top 1% of New Yorkers by 2%. That would raise $4 billion. The second is to raise the state's top corporate tax rate to match that of New Jersey, which would raise $5 billion.
We're going to move along, but I just want to point out to viewers that Governor Hochul has opposed raising the income tax. But Melissa, we'll move on to your question.
Not if he wins by 20 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what else Governor Hochul opposed was the congestion pricing.
Oh, yeah.
I think she opposed it twice. Before it actually got implemented, and then after it was about to be implemented, and then reversed herself again. Not exactly the most adept at some of these things.
Governor Hochul just.
I have a video of a Hochul actually. This is what happens when you go against our policies: is you end up riding the bus and pitching them. Here's Hochul.
Right around 10 a.m., Governor Hochul rode the bus for a few stops in a show of support of the tolling program.
Yeah, so there you go.
There you go.
Well, I mean, she's a politician, and this is where I don't. It's willingly misleading to the audience for these anchors not to point out that she has a primary challenge, which makes her positions on this extremely flexible and
win an election
susceptible
to get there in the first
pressure.
place.
Yeah, right. Well, she won this last one, but by less.
Right, yeah.
It was unconvincing.
But she's there because Cuomo had to leave and she stepped in.
Yeah.
One more. Let's hear from Cuomo. He learned some lessons. And, you know, it's very easy for us to sit here and mock a man who has been so dedicated to public service, including defending Bibi Netanyahu from the International Criminal Court, doing that type of pro bono defense. Well, I'm sorry, it's not pro bono, but doing that type of defense work for even the most vicious of criminals. He doesn't get credit for that. He doesn't talk about it that much, but Cuomo's learned some lessons from the primary. Can you guess what they might be?
Back up. What lesson did you learn, and what do you feel it said about you, something you did wrong, something that you need to change about yourself?
I did nothing wrong.
I think in the primary campaign, I did not do enough on social media, which is a very effective medium now. I think the Assemblyman did do a better job on TikTok and social media than I did during the campaign, and that has changed now. I've also
now you're crushing on
increased
TikTok.
my activity significantly, but
wait, we got to go back and just rewind that because first off, I've increased my activity. Like,
I'm not burning 1,200 calories a day.
I didn't really try very hard in the primary because I thought that I was just going to get it. And I have definitely increased how much I'm trying now because of all the money I got from the billionaires and billionaires who were like, try harder.
Yeah.
But
You could infinitely try harder and that number would still be 0.
This seems like somebody who's really taken a look in the mirror.
Oh yeah,
This is emblematic.
I examined myself and found that my TikTok engagement is too low.
These type of elite upper income Democrats are going to be in a world of hurt if they think all Zoran is doing is being flashy on social media. It is the content of what he is doing in those videos that is connecting with people, not his smile and charisma.
Well, but what about the cuts? What about the type of cuts?
The fits are great, yeah.
The cuts are really good.
Oh yeah, the edits are great too.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Color
talking
correction.
about. Right. Go back. I want to hear him say activity again.
Medium now. I think the Assemblyman did do a better job on TikTok and social media than I did during the campaign. And that has changed now.
Yeah, sure.
I've also increased my activity significantly. But my
activity.
agenda is exactly the same.
Oh, good.
I am the Democrat, although I'm not on the Democratic line. He is a Democratic socialist, called Barack Obama evil and a liar. Didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Fight and deliver is.
Can you pause it?
Yeah,
okay,
he did
because
vote
he
for
did
Harris.
this lie. This is later on when they've already debunked this. Righteously, Zoran Mamdani advocated for the uncommitted movement in the primary. He was telling people to leave the ballot blank. And I guess this might have spilled over into Harris becoming the de facto nominee or whatever. I forget exactly what the timeline was of what Zoran was saying, but he clarified this earlier. He did not say don't vote for Kamala Harris in the general election. He was advocating for uncommitted because of the genocide, which he references.
I've increased my activity, though.
I've had 2 more meetings in the Hamptons.
Yes.
I've been to the
this month than I
Hamptons
did last.
every weekend.
Yeah,
every
hopefully this-
weekend during the general election. Whereas last time, during the primary, I went only twice a month, maybe 3 times a month, and during the week. That was it.
He is a
It was summer.
Democratic
It was summer. What am I supposed to do?
My agenda is exactly the same. I am the Democrat, although I'm not on the Democratic line.
Although I'm not the Democrat.
He is a Democratic socialist, called Barack Obama evil and a liar. Didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Fight and deliver is I will fight for people, I will fight the bureaucracy, and I will deliver results. New Yorkers need the mayor to get something done. This is all words and theories. I am a manager who can
This is
actually
a question
get
about
things done.
self-reflection.
This is a question about self-reflection. You still haven't answered it.
I'm a manager. I'm the boss.
I'm black. I'm a woman. I'm all of it. Didn't you remember?
I am Democrat.
I am TikToker. I am Instagram influencer.
Yeah.
I am
It's a little hard for him to make the case that
cinematographer.
Zoran's not a Democrat when the D is going to be next to his name on the ballot.
Yeah, and the Democrats are sort of decided that he's the guy that they want to be represented by.
Yes, and really briefly, like, who gets to decide who's a Democrat? I actually think that this is a very instructive way to look at his politics too, where there's no self-reflection about ideology, about what he was offering for people. It's just a question of tactics. This is something that many corporate centrist Democrats are echoing on the national level right now, where there's no introspection about what they have not offered to people, and it's about more like manipulation of the masses into avoiding the conversation about taxing the rich in a very meaningful way and giving more resources to the 99%.
And part of it is like he's trying to win by arguing that I'm more of a technocrat and I have this sort of experience in actually getting things done. But people did not perceive him as governor that way. They saw him as a bully, and in many respects, and this is a tribute to Cynthia Nixon, they saw his relationship with the IDC which was a wayward caucus of Democrats who voted always with the Republicans that was midwifed by Andrew Cuomo. And it took Cynthia Nixon's election for people to hear about it, essentially. I mean, we talked about it, but for the general public to hear about it and become informed about it. And he set up a system where nothing that was in any way progressive or in fact like challenging to the status quo in any way, or even imaginative or innovative, would get to his desk to sign. That was what the function of the IDC was, so that he didn't have any fingerprints on having to stop any type of like real progress in helping people. You know, he would be okay with like a tax cut, property tax cut in Westchester, or making monies that were paid to local property taxes that were earmarked to the state, sort of like stay in rich areas. But when it came to actually like helping average people, he had the IDC there basically running cover. Like, what can I do? I'm the governor. I can't make things appear on my desk. But he certainly could make things not appear on his desk. And so he didn't have that. He doesn't, after 10 years as governor, he doesn't have that reputation with most New Yorkers as just like a technocratic, forget all the other stuff. You can trust me.
And that's the disdain for voters. Someone wrote in just saying NYC, the Uganda of America, said even the way Cuomo said TikTok demonstrated his disdain for everything. Like his disdain for the voters comes out in that too. Like you don't. He was giving favors to those Democrats in the IDC basically to caucus with the Republicans, even though the voters that were electing them thought they were voting for the Democrat down ballot, but don't have the familiarity with like a state rep or state senator, right, that they would on a national level. So Cuomo was exploiting that in order to maintain an exploitative political system and keep himself in power and give giveaways to his friends. And the stuff about like, Mamdani not really being a Democrat, the voters think he is. He is then. Do you like this is the problem with the party running on democracy in this last election. There are major figures within the party that do not believe in democracy. They don't believe in what the voters say and what they have articulated. By double digits, Zoran beat you. Even his candidacy in this current race is reflective of a hostility to democracy.
Yep.
And that's a major problem in an era of fascism.
And it's been a long-term problem in the Democratic Party. Joe Lieberman is another prime example of that. And the failure of the Democratic leadership in that race to get behind the Democratic candidate is echoes, where's Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries? Are you kidding me? Yeah. We have that clip of Sliwa saying like, oh, he gets his hands on everything. And then he brings up the lawsuits, the women. I mean, good for Sliwa going in.
Sliwa was a dog. He was going after Cuomo all night.
That was fun. I quite enjoyed that. What else should we get here?
You want to do a little economic policy with Dave Rubin?
Oh, sure. Let's check in and get a sense. Now, is this one of those clips? Is this one of those clips where he just basically does an intro and where he gets so general that his producers can plug in the clip and then he does the outro, or is he really delve in here?
Yeah, this is him making an editorial effort here.
All right. Oh, this should be really enlightening.
We know because of the glasses.
Yeah, he's getting wonky now.
No prescription.
We all kind of knew this was true. It's never sexy to talk about the debt, right? You don't want to be a politician and come in and be like, we're going to have to hack away at the state. We're going to have to look at entitlements. We're going to have to look at all of these things. But here they are. They're doing it, and they're uncovering crazy things. But I've been saying this for years, and talking about the debt is not even a sexy thing for me to have to do. But think about it. If we as a country, if we just owe China an insane amount of money, trillions of dollars, because we keep borrowing on top of borrowing, and every year we get a budget coming in. Think about your own home's budget, or think about your business's budget or anything else. If you're always overspending, eventually the bank cuts you off. The way we've done it, basically, is we either print more money, thus devaluing the money, or we borrow more from China, and we end up borrowing on borrowing, so we can't even pay back the interest. Well, eventually, think about a mafia movie. We're in the midst of rewatching
Oh, wait a
Sopranos.
second. Are we
What
doing that
happens
again?
when
The
you can't
mafia
pay off your
movie?
debts? A guy with a bat shows up to your house. And
All
he
right,
takes
pause
you
it for a
out to
second.
East
Hold
Rutherford.
on. Pause it for a second.
Nothing good has ever happened in
Pause it for a second. Before we get this, there's a couple of things that we need to work out. First off, the United States government is very different from a family's budget. And a big reason for that, in fact, maybe not the sole reason, but the big reason for that is you as a family do not print money. You do not have the ability to tax other people or to create money. You don't have the ability to do that. So it's not the same. It's a completely useless analogy. The other thing, do we have that clip? Yeah, take that. As far as China owning our debt, foreign investors as a whole, never mind China, foreign investors as a whole own 30% of our debt. The vast majority of our debt is either owned by Americans or, frankly, the U.S. government. The U.S. government owns like almost a third of our debt. And that means they've just borrowed from Social Security. And the reason why we actually have heard a lot about the debt over the past 20 years, I don't know where Dave Rubin was. I know. In fact,
He's
it was
stuck
like,
in like that commentary was out of 2012. It's like he was sent back in a time machine.
well, that's, I mean, Paul Ryan, I mean, the whole, all of them, it was all about debt. The reason why they want to cut Social Security is they don't want to pay that money back to Social Security. They wanted to have spent it essentially on tax cuts for wealthy people. That money that is owed the U.S. government, a lot of it's coming from Social Security. 25 years ago, Al Gore was mocked because he wanted to put it in a lockbox. In other words, you can't come in and borrow this money because that encourages the right to cut Social Security so they don't have to pay it back into Social Security. But go ahead.
Can't pay off your debts. A guy with a bat shows up to your house and he takes you out to East Rutherford. And nothing good has ever happened in East Rutherford. Now, the issue, of course, for us is that we have nukes and big weapons and an army. So that's the one thing that basically stops China from cashing in the debt. But it does not work that way.
Pause it.
over time.
I'm sorry.
So,
that is also not the reason why China doesn't cash in debt. Why would they keep buying the reason why China doesn't cash in that debt, and to a certain extent, because of Donald Trump's economic decisions, they have they are beginning to de-dollarize quite a bit, frankly. The reason why they don't want to cash in that debt is that they also know that we are huge consumers of their products. Now, of course, Donald Trump has basically deleveraged ourselves in terms of like giving us less leverage over that by collecting these taxes on imports. But nevertheless, it's not because China is afraid of us bombing them if they don't buy our treasury notes. Go ahead.
stops China from cashing in the debt, but it does not work that way over time. So what we're doing right now is actually making sure that we can cover our debts and that we can get rid of the waste and everything else. It's beautiful because we're fighting for something, which I know is very upsetting to that lady with the giant shoulder pads.
Well, it was a lady, so
Can you pull up just Google increase in debt during Republican years versus Democratic years. I mean, we had an explosion of debt in the wake of COVID, but the budget deficits were actually going down under Biden. But I want to also remind people that we do not want a balanced budget. We want to have deficits because there's a certain amount of money supply in the country at any given time. And if the government has a surplus, that means that the private sector has a deficit. That's basically it.
I'm having a hard time figuring out who to believe because we keep switching between two different guys with glasses on.
Ruben's thing
You both feel
worked.
right at the moment.
He's wearing a suit coat though.
That's more official.
Yeah.
Also, like, it's funny, if you looked at this sort of thing, there's just a headline from a couple days ago, Fortune. America's going broke slowly, says JP Morgan, as national debt balloons and tariff revenue looks shaky. And the other thing I would say is Dave Rubin mentioned a couple things that people might look at when you want to get serious about the national debt, like cutting programs, I think he mentioned. How about raising taxes on the type of people that pay Dave Rubin to sputter inanity into a camera every day?
And you see how this is where, like, the Democrats have dropped the ball. And this is because they have basically kind of committed to not meaningfully raising income taxes on the highest earners in this country, although I think that's changing. I do think part of why Republicans got away with this for so long is like describing something as a household budget is an accessible way for people to feel like they understand politics, even though what you're saying, Sam, is like factually correct. But if the Democrats can make a case on those terms, are you worried about like the deficit? Well, that's there's a bunch of wealth and money out there. Let's tax billionaires out of existence and get some of that money back. And it's not, I know it's not actually like how it works, right? But in terms of how you make an argument salient to people who want to feel like so much of this is about flattering people like where they are, and they want to feel like they can understand this kind of thing. And when you make it about a household budget and you say it like that, bring in more revenue, it's much more palatable in my view.
Oh, our house is broke. The house I live in with Jeff Bezos and Donald Trump and all those people. How about they start pitching in a little bit?
Yep.
They're using up all the resources in the house too, incidentally.
Yeah.
They're hoarding all the revenue. We got to deal with this. We have to deal with this because I didn't know this. And I am impressed that Kennedy has gotten to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
The amount of research that he must have done here is extraordinary.
Wow.
Because as far as I know, I don't know if there's been any major studies about this. Now we know what RFK Jr.'s sock drive was all about.
Oh my God.
Here is clip number 9.
RFK's sock hop.
Can we play clip 9?
Why are these socks so brittle?
Today, the average teenager in this country has 50% of the sperm count, 50% of the testosterone as a 65-year-old man. Our girls are hitting puberty 6 years earlier. And that's bad, but also our parents aren't having children. Parents who want to have children do not have access. I have 7 children. I feel that God has blessed me with that.
Money.
And I can't imagine how different my life would be if I did not have that blessing. Today,
What, the blessing of sperm?
Yeah.
They don't have access to sperm? What is he talking about? He's not going to make a class argument here.
No, he's not.
They don't have access to sperm.
But like, first of all, the idea that teenagers have 50% less testosterone and 50% less sperm count.
We're ballparking
I can't find any research in that. And as a 65-year-old man, He's measuring himself, and he is literally taking shots of testosterone every week.
The study he's
Every
referencing,
week.
it was from 2022, and what it was saying is that there's 50% less sperm from teens in the 70s to teens now. So he's like, it's not a 65-year-old man.
were 17.
Yeah.
Okay, but all of putting the creepiness about this aside, like this is why fits into the MAGA movement. He's flattering even Trump there, who has a bunch of kids. It's proof that you are virile. It's proof that you are a man. And also, do they have any deformities or anything like that? Because then there's probably something wrong with you or something that you didn't take. Like this rise in this kind of eugenicist thinking, or like the survival of the fittest, and the your health outcomes being determinative of like superiority in some way, is deeply dangerous. It's super dangerous.
And hasn't the changes in the age of puberty for when girls are starting been a function of nutrition?
I really don't know. He spends a lot of time thinking about teens, I guess, but no, I haven't. I don't know.
Other studies also show that that's like 1.9 years. Like he said several years, but
He said 6.
yeah, it's like it's from
Man,
10.
I'm sorry, he said 6 years.
Like from 10 to 8 now or something.
What should everybody be? Like, also, the psych can there have not been enough like studies about the effects of having these juiced up testosterone, like 70-year-olds who have the have bodily or hormonal balances that are equivalent to teenagers. Like, is that healthy? Because it seems like it's making you insane.
Either that or the brainworm.
I mean, I don't know. Like, they're all reactionary. They seem all impulse driven. These guys that are obsessed with this thing, and I can't tell if it's a chicken or the egg.
Who's the farthest left guy on T?
Right.
Did you also, speaking of this, kind of related? Did you hear about all of the protein powders that have high levels of lead inside? Like
Yes.
fuel?
But also, this is like Elon's thing with the birth rate. Like these guys are obsessed. They want workers.
The testosterone stuff in teenagers is I think also a function of of health factors in terms of obesity, and they're not doing what they said they were going to do in terms of helping obese. Like, what has the moves been here? This is the same party that went after
Michelle
Obama for just having healthy food in lunches.
Because that was more collective. That was about everybody having access to healthy food. What they are obsessed with is like they are looking at it from a health superiority perspective.
They're cutting your Medicaid so you can just die, and then that will literally thin out.
That was his idea for bird flu. That was literally his idea. Like they believe that the natural selection process in the bastardized way that they view it with humanity is a good thing.
Apparently, nicotine might also increase testosterone. That explains a lot.
Oh,
Zins.
Why they're obsessed with those Zins? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's play one more clip, and then we got to get out of here. We'll read some IMs. But first, it's our daily example of how ICE lies and is incredibly violent. ICE decided to ram an SUV on a public street because the SUV was apparently either following them or I don't know how they would be following them with this, but is a known activist to ICE. There is absolutely does not seem to be any guardrails on what ICE can do. Right now, I think there's 4 or 5 lawsuits against ICE. We saw this clip of the old man, he's about 79 or 80, who owned a car wash. I think it was in LA. he was thrown to the ground and then had like this incredible bruise on his
He had like a golf ball lump on his elbow.
On his elbow, and he cracked some ribs. He is suing the incidentally American citizen, the guy who was rolled up twice, I think by ICE in like a matter of weeks, and showed them his real ID, showing that he was an American citizen, also is suing. We have, I know there's a couple other lawsuits that are happening, but this I suspect will be the latest. This is from ABC 7 in Ventura County.
An SUV believed to be driven by an immigration agent rammed a truck in Oxnard and then took a person into custody. An immigrant rights watchdog group shot this video. Following the crash, a crowd gathered. Oxnard PD says the crowd got boisterous, so officers were sent in to, quote, keep the peace, but not to assist federal agents. The crowd eventually dispersed. The person detained was also injured and was taken to the hospital. He was later released from custody and spoke just a few minutes ago. He says he's part of a group monitoring the actions of ICE.
At one point, the police department did say that they were going to hand me over to the agents, and that's where I kind of got a little nervous, because these are the same dudes that just rammed into the car and were really aggressive. So once they put me in cuffs and put me in the car, I requested to go to a hospital to get checked out, because I already had a headache at that point.
That's attempted murder.
My neck was sore, and we were there for a while. Then after that, they brought me here. They processed me and they released me on pending charges. I was shocked to be released so fast, but also at the same time, from the beginning, I knew that I did nothing wrong.
He says he was not told what those charges might be, in fact, if there even are any. He also says nobody talked to them about the damage caused to his truck and that he'll be back monitoring ICE tomorrow.
It could have killed him.
I mean,
Could have flipped him. Easy.
there's no circumstance where this is like, they don't even do this in high-speed chases.
Yep.
Cops going after somebody who committed a crime. This is just somebody they didn't like. This is messed up.
From what I gather, the group is called VC Defensa, Ventura County Defensa, and we've been
Solidarity.
Yeah,
Yep.
they've been doing some good work.
Great work.
I mean, that's attempted murder. I don't know what else to call that. Like he
Or
was trying
assault
to do
with a deadly weapon.
He was trying to do a pit maneuver, right? But he crunched into the rear door. That's not where you do that. You could have very easily crunched into the driver door and killed that guy right in the driver's seat.
It looks like a guy who watched pit maneuver videos on YouTube and then tried it in real life, because none of these ICE agents have any freaking training.
A good
the
line.
training is like Fast and the Furious movies or whatever.
Exactly.
Will Menaker pointed out a good line from Adam Johnson, which is that ICE agents are unemployable losers arresting other people with actual jobs.
Right.
All right, let's read some IMs and we'll get out of here. Kowalski from Nebraska, mentioning that you have high testosterone level and an above average sperm count has not been beneficial on the dating websites, as I was initially under the impression that it should have been. Women need to have better priorities on the dating sites. I get all of my dating advice from Jason
ladies.
Miles on the YouTube show This Is Revolution.
I got all my stats. I'm straight from the clinic.
Clearwater, can you compile every ICE clip you've shared either into one big ICE playlist or a long video with all this horrendous fight? We should have an ICE playlist maybe on that. That might be worthwhile. Ramona Frankenstein, we need to make sure all the testosterone going to these gross old perverts is going into the arm of trans masculine people instead.
Exactly.
They're the only people I know who take tea and don't end up acting like rapists who eat
True.
washed up whale heads.
I also like how you called it Frankenstein.
I know.
I'm sorry, but it just made me laugh.
Dr. Frankenstein.
Ramona Frankenstein. All right. Frankenstein.
I feel bad that Weinstein's wrong.
Not Nick Fuentes. Hello, Sam. A chauffeur for my first nephew, Cassian. I wonder if they got that name from Andor.
Cool name.
Who was born yesterday, and my sister is finally recovering from her pregnancy, now a new mom, and a Hanna-Barbera plop for me for not showering yesterday. Well, here's this. I don't know what the Hanna-Barbera plop is. Oh, we do have a playlist.
Yeah, Dorsey just messaged us. It's called Immigration in the USA, and it's on the Majority Report YouTube channel.
Sweet. See how quick we move?
184 videos.
Whoa.
Oh, God. Cuomo sexual. Sam, can you please talk about Sliwa undressing Cuomo again? Crusty Gnome. There's no environmental factors to health. Microplastics and excess pollution is also a cause. There's also environmental factors to health. Yes, I'm sure. I pray to Pesci. Kennedy spent hours personally measuring the sperm volume of teen boys around the country to make sure his claims are accurate. Fig. Put Curtis Sliwa and Bernie Sanders together and see which one could pronounce huge better. I think I should have. Wouldn't Zoran being a bad Muslim be a point in his favor to the people who would support Cuomo?
Well, he's brown, and that's all they need to.
No, because the real thing they need is the people to fit into their nice little parts of the hierarchy.
They just need to know that he's Muslim. That's it. They don't care.
Yeah.
Brandon Tartikoff. Sliwa undresses and finger. Okay.
Brandon Tartikoff? What? Like
isn't
the
that a
NBC
joke?
president?
Yeah.
Or- yeah.
He's a frequent IMer, I believe.
He's been retired for some years, and he spends a lot of time here. Venice Wheeler, L.A. They're going to send in Eddie Van Halen from one battle after another. I'm not sure I get it, but all right, three more. Josh from Minnesota. Strategic advice request. Do you four think it would be better to go to a local No Kings protest or a larger one at the state capitol? Can't decide on local action versus concentration of action. I might do the opposite of what you did last time. If you went to one, I don't know. There's an argument. You go to the capitol because that's the one that's most likely to get media attention, and you see it there. But local level is good because it's a good way to meet local activists.
And to show the town it's not hijacked or whatever, that there are other points of views in your small town.
Right.
You enjoy my socialism. Early voting starts on the 25th.
Yes, I misspoke with the 28th.
And there's another debate. I knew there was on the 22nd.
Seems a little. What do we need? What are we doing?
I know, we've seen enough.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, sure, if Cuomo wants to get humiliated again.
I can't believe Sliwa took off the beret for it. I was like,
two more.
He complained immediately about it.
Catfish James. Glenn Beck also had a theory on the emerging caliphate that the Obama administration was going to bring forth. My father recorded the segment on VHS to watch after coming home from work.
I do like how you and Digby started nostalgic about remembering a simpler time and then did a whole segment about how it's always been this way for the last 20 years.
That's sort of like, that's a dialectic.
There's some truth to that. And the final IM of the week.
What's Harry Emden?
Bingo dango. Reuters is reporting the Trump administration is going to start sending checks to pay ICE and CBP officers during the shutdown illegally, of course. Yes, they're doing it on both sides. They're both like illegally performing rescission of mandated payments and illegally paying people, contrary to the statute that exists right now. That, Ryan, Emma, great job today, folks. See you on Monday.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth and the lie bar, but finding out won't make me feel any better. Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the meds are gonna kick in, and my
don't get paid for the rope that bends before it finally breaks you. I guess somehow I lost my drive between the 101 and the 5. Do you know how far the detour takes you? Yeah, I know.